Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. We're ready to rock and roll. So we're going to just kind of go over the stock market updates. We went over the expected moves this week at the beginning of the move. At the beginning of the week. So we're going to jump right in it. We're going to go over the dollar, I guess the Bitcoin, Russell, NASDAQ, the S&P, and then a stock that I bought that will likely be in the growth count tomorrow. I was waiting for a sell-off. The sell-off did happen today, and I just want to wait and see if there's just a tad bit more. But it is going to replace SoFi in the growth account. So everyone that's watching that's following that update's coming. If you're in the midship, then you probably already know what it is. But it took me a second to had to put some thought into that one, to be honest. All right, so let's jump into it. The dollar pushed up today. To be expected. I had a rough morning, so I actually missed all this. I'm short the dollar, so that was fun to see because I actually did add on right there. So by the time I woke up, we're already up here. I was actually planning on cutting this right here, but unfortunately, no. No, I went right through that. The reason why I didn't have a stop in the first place, so I actually removed it because I'm actually short the U.S. dollar Japanese yen, which is bullish Japanese yen, bearish the dollar, and they're announcing a rate hike, which I was hoping going to send that thing down, but anyway, I didn't. Why is my camera weird? Define what's weird about it. Okay, so the reason why I have these highlighted a lot brighter is this is a weekly zone for the dollar, and I'm kind of just expecting just some bouncing back and forth. So I guess at this point, it would be more bullish, honestly, if we enter into here. But it's kind of one of those things where uh, ultimately I'm short a much higher time frame. So I'm going to be in this, but I'm not going to add on until we get up to here. But even a question of adding on is now going to get brought up because is that a higher low? And if we push up into that zone, is that going to be the higher high? We're going to start trending, our way up. What's going to go on right here? We played the back and forth game quite a bit inside this. So going to have to keep my eyes out on that. But yeah, I will add on a little bit more. Now it's a backdrop. Yeah, just because this software. That's why it looks weird right now. Different streaming software. All right. So sucks to suck on that one. All right. As far as Bitcoin goes, ultimately we did. So we came back down, bounced off this zone, jumped up, just checked that one from the bottom, and then sold off. If there's going to be a buy point right here, I think it's going to be down here at this $60,000 mark. Yeah. Again, I'm not too concerned about Bitcoin for anybody that's trading it. Bitcoin usually it doesn't just kind of go up, peak, and then come back down. There is, if you look at, and all we're going to do is just look at the past. There's always just there's first for everything. There's always just that dip comes up for the next higher high. So every time it's come up like that, pulls back, it does put in a higher high. Eventually, it puts in that lower low and then melts down. So until I see that kind of fork action at the top, I'm not too terribly concerned. But again, it's definitely important to have your own plan because I'm not trading it. It's just something that I buy. I'm well in the green as far as this goes. So all I'm doing is watching a number bounce up and down on the screen. Is Bitcoin bull market over? Yeah, it was quick. It's quick this time. Panicking and don't know what to do in situations like what are you panicking for? If you're panicking, yeah, the bull market for you is over. At that point, you're clearly over allocated, and first of all, if you're panicking like that and just have that anxiety, you're not thinking straight. Nothing else is going to pan out. You're probably going to take on many more red trades. You should be able to sleep comfortably at night knowing a giant red candle could show up tomorrow morning or overnight. So the fact that you're panicking tells me you just have too much in it. It's time to pull back. All right, as far as the Russell goes, bounced out of that zone today. Honestly, I don't know if you're going to take a trade right now, it would have to be a long trade out of that zone. I guess it's a battle of time frames. Which one are you going to be on? A higher time frame, that's going to be a higher low. Smaller time frame, we're probably putting in a lower high. And as you can see right here, bull flag or reversal, they're going to look the same. As far as your expected moves go, just hanging out, doing nothing. Plenty of room to go whichever way. Okay, NASDAQ. So NASDAQ is the one that did look the weakest. You know, we kind of had a little bit of a grind down here, got back up to the same levels, absolute meltdown. This is why, again, if you watched the previous streams, why I went short. And actually quite a few of the midship group did go short as well. So we bought QQQ puts, but just that meltdown right there was different. So when it got to here again, it's when we went short. A lot of bulls talking about QQQs just chilling. Where you at? He's a perma bull. But anyway, right here, I was talking about how this would break, right? So melted down to here, putting in a lower high. QQQ puts were just rocking, and this is on a Friday, so finally got that breakdown. And I kind of thought we would. It did look the weakest, right? If there was going to be a continuation, you would probably want to look out for that next lower high right here. But instead, what we ended up getting was, so we got the complete meltdown here. Now we fully recovered. Anytime we fully recover like that, the trend did just change. It's no longer lower lows, lower highs. At this point, you're thinking horizontal. Argument now could be made, if we're going to just really get into that tunnel vision, is that's a higher low. So right now, and we talked about this last night, bullish above, bearish below. We dipped down, got it right back above. We're still dancing around this zone right here. So the only winner of this trade right now is going to be the ones with risk management. You know, jacking around and just going all in and not having a plan, it's going to bite you. No matter whether you're long or short, maybe not even this trade. The worst thing you can do is jack around like this and win. And then you're going to take that money, you're going to get used to that money, and then you're going to have much bigger loss later. Thinking bullish Powell's tomorrow, right? I think it's going to be a dud. I don't know who in the world thinks there's going to be an increase or a rate cut. And I told the midship group, if you were there, if there's a rate increase, I'm going to open my phone and I'm going to go straight to SPY, QQ, whichever one's first. I'm going to go at the money and buy puts. Period. So I bet tomorrow we're going to dance around. I'm not going to take it. It wouldn't make a bunch of money, I don't think, either. If there's a play to trade, it's probably an iron condor. For anybody thinking Powell's going to do anything tomorrow, and I guess this could just not age well, he comes out and surprises, it's going to get nuts. Right now, we're expecting no rate increases. I think everyone is expecting no rate increases. If you're thinking there's going to be a rate, again, increase or decrease, you're definitely one of the few. I don't know. That would be nuts. Regardless. I'm trying to think where I'm at. Who asked me in the chat today? I do have another video coming up, by the way, so I'll give you the TLDR. Someone said, "What am I in other than tech?" Officially, as of today, nothing. Unless Enphase counts as not tech or AI. Sorry. Today I sold everything. My dividend stuff, anything not tech related, gone. I do still have NNDM and AQB. Again, those are more future plays. The steroid fish, that's just down a lot. I can show you guys that. Someone brought it up in the chat too. Again, when I put something in the investment account, it's going to be there for years, and we'll see how that's to come. So far, this one's just a dud. I bought it, I want to say around 6. Is it 7? They did a split. Okay. I'll say I want to say my average is around 6. This thing's just absolutely tanked. It's done nothing. So that one overall dud. I guess it could surprise. Nothing I've added onto. The one I did add onto is NNDM, and I do think they are set up for a buyout. Kind of just, in my opinion, a matter of when, not if. Now this one performed about the same. But I did add on to this one, so my cost is quite a bit lower on this one. TLDR is too long, didn't read. Just basically the highlights. But it does feel good. So I'm making a video. I'm gonna talk about how I'm gonna deploy all that capital, how I'm gonna actually spend it, because I didn't just go market buy a bunch of stuff, but it does have a plan. So again, I'm either gonna be really right, it's gonna be awesome, or if I'm really wrong, I have a bunch of big name tech stocks, and I sold a bunch of options against it. So I still make money, and that's ultimately why I did what I did, is because having the things that I have, they're going to be here regardless of anyone's opinions. I just don't think Meta, Google, Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, AMD, Enphase, I don't think they're going away. Palantir, trying to think of some of the big ones. I actually do have Netflix, and I didn't sell it, but I totally forgot I even had Netflix in the account. But having hundreds of shares of each, I'm going to sell calls on every one of them and make weekly income. I will say, as far as Netflix goes, that one's going to be. I'm going to measure. And again, I should just wait for the videos. Hit the subscribe button. I'm going to plan it all out as far as deltas. There are some that I do not want to let go. If you're following the growth account, then you guys know I sold calls on Palantir today, but I went a little bit further out. So I'm not going to just have a vacant house and not collect rent. But there's some that if I don't mind letting it go, you're going to see closer to the 30 deltas. Some that I just don't want to let go, but I still want to collect that money on 10, 15 deltas. But anyway, that's all on the video to come. All right, as far as QQQ goes, so we had this kind of breakdown out again. So we broke that. It did break and retest. And I mentioned this is a great Forex play. And this would be really cool if I was trying to sell you guys a course on trend lines. This is like a picture perfect play. And maybe it does more than I think. But when it comes to stocks, I used to really like these. And I still really do when it comes to the Forex market. I don't necessarily care for the trend line break and retest plays when it comes to stocks. Neutral, I guess. It's nothing I would take a play on, but if you said you play it all the time, like I'm not going to fight you over it. But since we did break that line, let's keep the one that hasn't broken up. As it stands right now, we're kind of in that zone. QQQ, plenty of plenty of movement available as far as like what the expected moves were. As far as Powell goes, for what I can say now, and obviously we'll have more data tomorrow morning. So sorry, everyone in the mentorship group will know this. I'm probably going to take the opposite play. I don't think tomorrow has a continuation. I almost in no matter what scenario, as long as he doesn't raise rates. So if there is a move, we should have. Give me 1 second. Let's get We should have the report, and then 30 minutes later, the conference. Okay, so there's a 30-minute report. 30-minute difference, and a lot of times we see it go one way and then come back the other way. It's like a check mark day. Hang on, there we go. This is what I was looking at right here. So we have the Fed interest rate decision, the FOMC economic projections, and then we have the conference 30 minutes later. So if that does send it one way, if it pushes it up, I'm probably selling calls. If it pushes it down, I'll go long. I don't know if I'll sell any puts or anything like that. I'll probably just actively just attack that and go long. And that will be a knife catch play tomorrow. I'm also long spot gold too. Hopefully it goes to the moon. I actually closed my gold leap today. Hang on. I guess we can just talk about that real quick. So gold, we bought gold leaps. Annoyingly, one of these. We had bought gold leaps, and by we, I mean I just posted it in the group, right? I talk about my plays, and sometimes people agree with the analysis, right? So they did it too. Now I sold a couple calls against it, but yeah, it was annoyingly because it was only up for a little bit and then wrote it back down. I was like, well, that's dumb, and then it just full sent up. So it could be a bull flag. That's a bull pennant right now. Bull flag or reversal. Really, if it breaks that, that's going to be your deciding factor. There's your trouble zone up there to get above. So GLD went to the moon. I went ahead and closed it. Great profit on that one, but it's not AI. Hopefully I'm right, I hope I'm right. Is it too late to get in? You could have bought mine today. All right. As far as the S&P goes, again, here was that meltdown we had. Full recovery. We kind of danced around, and then today was actually a pretty green day. As far as the smaller time frames go. So these are more intraday stuff. These are 15-minute time frames. Did reject there. We based out right there and then just went for it. Another base rally. And it looks like we're based now for the next move up, unless they're just getting everybody excited. Again, taking the opposite play. So if the report sends it down, I would go long. Hopefully, just melt it right down to that zone. I love it when a report comes out and it just spikes it from zone to zone, and then I'm just going to buy it. I'm going to show up with the other buyers. It'd be a little bit trickier, I guess, if we were to just creep up all night and then the report comes out, sends it down. With the rate decision, all that. A lot of times the morning is rather boring, so I don't expect too much tomorrow morning. But yeah, if it were to just spike this thing up, I would go short. I might just go short an ES contract right there. Um, let's see. Technician says, I don't know why in the world I did not pull the trigger. I even asked Don, was this an appropriate stop? And he said yes. I was trailing 2 candles back on the 15-minute. My alert went off. I was up 69%. Could have been a lot worse of a lesson. You still made 26%. Oh, no. Why did it melt down? Come on. So this is in the Discord chat. He was somewhere right inside here with this red candle. His stop was right here, and so I trail things 2 candles back. There's the open one that's bouncing around. There's this one, and my stop's right below here. When the candle doesn't do anything, when it doesn't create anything for me to move it, it stays right there. So through all of this, my stop would have stayed right here. Once it started to pump up, I would have had my stop a little bit tighter, right to here. By the time we're out to here, my stop would have been right here. So I officially would have tagged out at 1485 right here and avoided all of this. Why did you? Come on. How many times can I give you the answers? Just kidding. Just kidding. I can't tell anybody what to do with their money. Let's jump into the call out though. Etsy. Why were we talking about this on the weekly? Why are we calling this out? Who wanted this done on the weekly if it's not a dividend ticker? Typically, when you see a bunch of purple zones, somebody wanted it done on the weekly because it's a dividend ticker. This is not. I absolutely hate this pattern. I don't know why. You could probably draw a wedge right there, or just a descending triangle. Either way, hammer on glass. That looks like it's about to break and head south. I would expect this looking to get long, or is today's intraday set and spike a reason to stay out? Yeah. If I'm gonna go long this, I'd wait for a break of 73.50. Break this high, and then we'll talk. But right now, they're just so I talk about catching knives all the time, and I juggle them like a circus clown. Uh, Knives on fire, doesn't matter. I'll buy the brightest red candle. This is not one of them. I like emotions. I like knee jerk reactions. I like this is too much. Somebody's going to come in and buy this dip. This just isn't it. All this is doing is exhausting whatever buyers we have left, and we're probably about to run out and drop this thing down here. If tomorrow this thing were to melt down into that zone, I'd say that's probably enough to catch that knife. Pops up, put your stop in the green. But until that trend changes, I mean, I'll just draw this out to there for you. There you go. Technician says, because I'm stupid. Okay, he says, I told myself I still have 24 days left on the contract. Well, then why did you change your mind? If you're trailing it on the 15-minute and I tell you leave your stop there and you're like, "Nah, I still have 24 days," then why are you worried about the next hour regardless? Why did you close it then? You made an emotional decision. You need to leave that out there. And just like my gold leap, still had a year left on that thing. There's the when you take the original play, right? You give yourself an appropriate amount of time that you think it's going to need to play out. And this goes with anything, leaps, 0 days to expiration. There's an entry. There's a how much time am I going to give this thing, and for what reason, and when am I going to get out? Uh, and sometimes, so Cody, even Alex says 24 days. Why on the 15 minutes? So a lot of us bought Google Leaps. And then Cody the other day, he followed, he agreed and took a very similar, if not exact play. Um, but it's up a ton. He's on his shares. And we're talking about, hey, if you're going to buy a leap, yes, you got a year. So if I buy a leap, it's 12 or 18 months. I don't call a 6-month contract a leap. You gave it the year. And it's just like when I bought AMC. Now I bought $4 or $3 strike for December in February or whenever AMC pumped up. I bought it the day before, if not 2 days before that rally into 20. Now I had until December, but I was up a whole lot of money. So I don't really care about the time left. Right now, I'm managing this thing. And if things get weird and if things push up and it's a lot of money, what I like to do is probably just trail it, lock it in, because what's the worst that could happen? It pulls back and I make the decision to get back in. And I just get to double dip on the same trade plan, or turns into a pump and dump, comes all the way back down. I don't want to get back in. Either way, I'm still up a whole bunch of money. At that point, it's a question of just managing the money you're in. I'm glad you actually made money on that trade, technician, but um, at least you didn't say, because on this same note. So he was up 69%, moved his stop, and decided he was going to walk away. He finally made the decision to shut it down. He made 26%. I've seen a lot of people say I was up 70. Now I'm only up 25. I might as well just ride the rest out and see what happens. And then they go to a red trade. It's one of the dumbest things I think I'll ever hear when it comes to the stock market world. But just because you give it that much time doesn't mean you have to take that much time. And so right now, it sounds like you're stuck in between either one. And honestly, if I'm ever stuck or questioning it, I instantly go to let's get out now trade. Like people say, hey, Don, I'm up 50%. What would you do? If I'm even questioning that, it's probably getting closed. Um, the time is for if it's red. If I jump in and it's just instantly red, that's why I gave it that amount of time. I'm going to ride that storm out. If I jump in, I'm already just managing a green trade. So be it. Let's go. Uh, that's easier said. I will say it's easier said than done. It is more of I want to say an art at this point, because you don't want to just choke it out. You want to give it the appropriate room, and that's case by case. Is that a momentum trade? Is it just grinding up and it's having a good day? Because those have different responses. Speaking of Google, it's the next call out. All right, hanging out. If this jumps back down, that's an abandoned twin babies. I don't know. It's got a name. So when we were talking about this last night, first of all, we had bought Google down here and it jumped up and I said, hey, leave your stop right here. And then it just went zone to zone and blew past it. So now I was thinking, all right, put your zone right below this zone, or put it right below this, because there will be a gap fill conversation if it breaks this. This is going to be a pretty decent support, 143 for Google. So breaking that, yeah, it could fill the gap and some buyers might be there, but I bet if we break that, we're probably headed down to there anyway. Can you stop making AI videos? All you do is scare me. Oh, absolutely not. No, not after Nvidia's presentation. Nope. No can do. I hope you guys understand, as a trader, I've never actually been worried about like a job or anything, because I literally just go to the market and make the magic internet money. Like, I don't want to sell you a pipe dream or anything like that. It's not that easy. But when you've been doing it for 11 years, it's also not that hard. Gosh, I'm really not trying to sell people on this. Manage your risk, do whatever you want, whether you follow me or not. Um, but I just don't see a world when AI is out here that the markets get left alone. Not even close. People love to think AI is not coming because of regulation. Nah, it's not a thing. Have you guys ever noticed uh, the government has never once, ever in your life, ever been preemptive, proactive? No, they're reactive. Um, you haven't seen that video; it's already recorded. But I talked about this is when AI takes over, and I drew it out for you guys with markers, spelled it out. But anyway, no, that just doesn't exist. I think the markets are going to go haywire. I'm tired of working. Let's get AI going. Alex says I'll sleep with the lights on. All right, back to Google. Um, so hopefully Cody let this stop right here because that was the next thing was to stop at 144.85, right below that zone. When you're down here, you bought it at this zone. Now we're up here. Now all we're doing is just stair stepping things up. Let's go. Now Google had an announcement they're going to partner with Apple. I forgot what it was. There's already a partnership with them. Google pays a lot of money to Apple. I know a lot of people think they're just rivals. Maybe with cell phones they are, but they very much have. They've had a partnership for a long time. How do you apply the yellow zones? I can do trends, but that's all. Cindy, that's just something I do. These are things that I draw manually by looking at the candles. I would say, yeah, I have a course and all that. I have a mentorship. But there's been plenty of people that have figured out what I do just by watching YouTube. So it's just a matter of time. I think you get the hang of it if you just stuck around. You should do something proactively to see how you can use AI and the markets. I think about that all the time, Vinay. It's a great point. But at that point, who am I? I mean, I'm a scrub. You think Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan aren't doing that? Like they have algos. Yeah. You don't think they have a much better team trying to figure this out nonstop? I'm all ears if you have an idea, Mr. Intel. I'm all about it. Don't get me wrong. Cindy says, I'll be watching. I appreciate that. I will say right now, I'm streaming on 2 channels. I don't know which one you're on. There's the Power Zone Trading, and then I'm also on Don Fran Trading. Yeah, and I know there's a huge mix-up because my main channel was Don Fran Show, but I didn't want to just confuse everybody. So now Don Fran Show is AI investments, everything about that. But I don't want to some people just don't want to hear AI, so it's not going to be on Don Fran Trading. And I'll break down everything on Don Fran Trading. Don Fran Show, I got Mike. I want to have people that are actually in the tech space, working with AI and all that. So it's not just me giving out an opinion. But there'll still be stock stuff, but everything AI. A 0 days to expiration AI robot for Vinay. I gotta say, actually, Vinay's never actually given me any FOMO. I've pretty much discounted 0 days to expiration. It's when I saw Kabir. He did pretty decent on some 0 days to expiration. It was the first time I thought, okay, maybe I should give it a fair shot. Let's shake this thing out and see what's to come. You need to change that banner that shows behind your head. Oh, it still says Don Francha. Yeah, I can't let that go. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna change it all. Anyway, man, we we really derailed. Cindy, thank you for watching, whichever one you're on. I appreciate it. There's the reason I even bring that up is there's just a consistency thing. If you're on the power trading zone, you've seen Brad occasionally. Sometimes he shows up, most of the time he doesn't, but he might. And then there's me streaming on here. 100% consistency. I'm in 100% control is going to be Don Fran Trading. Still in Nvidia, yes. A little bit more as of today, actually, as a matter of fact. All right. I have looked into some bots. It didn't work as far as what sounded good. But I was going to have there was a YouTube video I was going to make on how to make a trading bot or a trading indicator. People are just asking Chat GPT to do it, and you can, but there's a lot of edits in those videos. And so I was even going to make a video just showing that off, but typically the code's not going to be right. So you have to ask ChatGPT to find the error in the code. And there's a lot of like back and forth. But if I find something that I like, then I probably will have a bot for 0 days to expiration. And the thing is with backtesting is I don't care to backtest. I don't know why people are so obsessed with that. The market changes all the time. So if you go backtesting a bunch of stuff, it might have worked then, and that's adorable. That's sweet. Go find something that worked really well in 2021 and then place that same bot in 2017 and see what happens. And then they just overwork this backtesting. So I'd rather focus on some parameters that I would think would work going forward. So it takes me a little bit longer to do it, which is why the first bot I had was selling call spreads and put spreads at 1.5 standard deviations. It worked very well. But I want something that makes a little bit more. If you could train AI to learn the candles, 0 DTs all day. Yes. Let's talk about that for 1 second, and then I'm going to get back to the ticker call out. Okay, so you guys need to understand deltas and how the markets work. And I'll be quick for everyone that's heard this 1,000 times. Stocks are hard deltas. Options are soft deltas. So you can tell a lot by your account just by the deltas. Okay, now if you go buy an at-the-money call option, you are about a 50 delta, right? So it's not just your how much it moves per dollar, but it's also how many shares you control. So when you buy an at the money, right, it's a 50-50 shot. So you know your deltas are going to be right at 50. Could go up, could go down. Right at the money, they'll always be 50. Okay, so you buy that. You are long 50 deltas. The market maker is now short 50 deltas. Now, their job is to be delta neutral. So they're going to go out and buy 50 shares so that they're at 0 and you're long your 50. That's how they hedge your bet. It's why the market maker is never out to get you like some people think. If anyone's saying that, they're new. They just don't know yet. Okay, so they've introduced this 0 days to expiration. Now, just think of how cheap they are because there's no theta, there's no time value left. Those things are bouncing around like nuts. They are cheap. They are for the gamblers. Okay, they are essentially roulette trades. There is essentially a small risk and a lot of reward if you are right. If you can chart these candles out, if you can predict literally anything, you're all right on 0 days to expiration. But when they figure out a bot that can handle that, that will move the market. And we've seen some very vacuuming up days because what I just explained to you was you're buying an at the money. Okay, so it's a 50 delta. So you're probably gonna spend like $150 on anything worth it around at the money. Let's say you go grabbing the 15 deltas. Market makers don't care about that. It's not a direct one-to-one. It fades out as it goes. That's why they have algos. So you buy the 15 deltas. Let's say we're going to buy, it's Friday, so you're going to buy same day's expiration. Now, if I buy a 147 call, I have a 50 deltas. Vinay's out here buying the 152s, right? They're 15 deltas. No one cares about that because it's likely junk. You have such a small percentage chance of that actually happening that it's nothing, right? It rivals an actual slot machine. But occasionally, what do slot machines do? They pay out the jackpots. So I buy this 50 at the money call. I'm 50 deltas. Market makers got to go buy 50 shares. That's essentially 100 shares being bought of Google. So it pumps it up just a little bit. All of a sudden, a few more people do that. It pumps it to here. Vinay's 15 deltas are now a 30, which enters the realm of market makers needing to hedge for that. So then they got to buy shares. Also, my 50 deltas are now 80. So market makers got to buy 50 more shares, sends it up. Now Vinay's on the playing field. Got to account for his. They buy more shares. And it just sucks this thing up, just like vacuuming it right up or right down. So when 0 days get exploited that way, 0 days to expiration in the options contracts, like IWM, is IWM have that? Or I know for sure QQQ and SPY do. When there is a bot that does that and AI does enter that world, this market is going to look a lot like Bitcoin a few years ago. It's going to be absolutely nuts. Um, so I'm actually worried about that. I think it's going to be cool. There's going to be a time where people are going to make a ton of money, and I hope everybody's watching is involved in that because I do think it's going to be like a flash in the pan. It's not going to last long. Uh, and then that's the unknown part after that, right? So at that point, do I even have a job? I'm hoping to just I'm casting that net, which is why I'm in a bunch of AI stuff, and I'm hoping one of those just carries me to the other end, and that's good. Sell me your bot. I bought games. Hang on, what? Sell me your bot. I bought games in crypto. I don't know what that means. Hero to zero. All right. Anyway, as far as Google, a little overbought, pulled back, checking that zone. As far as this goes, I gotta say that would be the dip buy for now. You can call it overbought. I'd call it a zone play. If that breaks, we're gonna test this support, and if that breaks, we're headed right on down to there. Ford hopefully sold some 1282s today. Are we still on that nonsense? When do we give that up? 1282s. To April. So April, we get back to that. Okay. 1232 and 82s. Now, if you want to let them go, you could have sold at the money today. I bet either way Ford's probably about to come back down. That bull flag reversal, but I'm thinking if there's any kind of weakness, any kind of Powell situation is going to drop it right back down to there, and it takes Ford a little bit of time to recover. So even if you sold at the money, I bet you still own shares at the end of the week. With all this AI, lately I am wondering, aside from the algos and bots the investment banks spent billions on, why hasn't anyone created AI to use to trade the stock market? Then I think, yeah, I'm delusional if I don't think it already exists. I think the algos are getting better, but AI, at that point, you would need a general intelligence. You would need a bot that could think for itself, because AI doesn't know where to look. It's not. It's just an intelligence. You have to give it the parameters. Just like every morning, they get new parameters for their algos. Hey, if it hits this point, sell. If it's this point, start buying. However, they're managed. But algos aren't just a set and forget. They're still managed every day with their parameters. So I don't know if it actually already. I bet we see it in the market the day it does exist. Anything before then is just going to be an algo that just gets better. If an investment bank develops their own, AI has all their data to look through. You can buy the data. Everything's got a price tag. I'm sure someone's working very hard right now, and we probably already are on borrowed time. We'll have to see. Could just be a bunch of fear mongering and worrying for nothing. All right. YM1 futures in general. I'm a vegetable. This is so simple on a higher time frame. I have mental issues. It's easier on a higher time frame because you have to make less decisions. The second you start jumping down less than the hourly, you start introducing a whole lot of noise, and go back to the 0 days to expiration. Same with them. So yesterday you talked about how perfect this was. We just zone to zone. So first of all, zone to zone, back up into that zone, back up into that zone, all the way zone to zone again, and then we sent it full blown, and it looks like we're about to just cross right into that. I would still probably take a short trade right there. You can call it the power of hindsight or whatever, but I still think there's going to be sellers here at this level. But now you have traders looking at the VWAP, EMAs, all the indicators. You have institutions that are looking at that data that are buying your order flow. They're buying the order book. You're introducing a whole bunch of noise, and on top of that, you have to make a decision every 15 minutes. What'd that candle do? Because that's new data that you got to take in. That's why it's easier on the higher time frame. Honestly, guys, when I started trading futures, I got sucked into the scalping game, and I've never made more in my life than I was like, nah, forget it. I'm going to the 4 hour, and then hold an ES from zone to zone. There's a lot of 15-minute candles in there. These zones look huge on 15 minutes. Wait to see a 4 hour zone on the 15-minute time frame. But I have the account size to take in that risk because you go holding a contract through a whole zone, it's not just $20. So that would be one of those. You'd probably have to paper trade, get back in the swing of things, and then grab your cojones and make a trade. Or do that on do it on Top Step like you're doing. One contract, not 5. All right, Palantir or Tesla, which one are you buying next for the growth account? We don't have Tesla yet. Anything under 160 for Tesla for me is a buy. And like I told you guys, in my main account, I've been selling the 160 puts, and I will sell those every week Uh, Down here, up here, I will sell them until they're worthless or until I get assigned. That's not changing. Anything below 160, there's no alerts, there's no hey back the truck up, nothing like that. But it is something I want to start allocating money to. In the growth account, I have to grab a share or something. Uh, but we have 100 shares of Palantir. I want one more 100 shares of Palantir. There's another ticker I'm going to buy, and we're going to use the income off of that and Palantir. And I probably will start buying Tesla and Google. Will be the first two. I haven't decided if I want to go in on one. Do I want to just straddle it and buy them both at the same time? Because it comes down to a question of efficiency. I can buy one share of Google, one share of Tesla, and go back and forth. I can go all in, get 100 shares at one, sell some calls against it, and use that to fund the other one. Every 100 shares we get of something, we can sell a contract in, and it boosts our income. And that's ultimately the goal. We are trending down. Do you think it will continue for Tesla? Do you have a reason that it won't? Someone out here, tell me why Tesla's going to just turn around, turn on a dime. What, are they going to deliver less cars and people are going to love that idea? No. The next thing for Tesla in the pipeline is probably going to be robotics. The cars aren't going to lift this thing anytime soon. Shout out to anybody going short after it's down 50%. Just kidding. But anyway, below 160, I'll get more aggressive with it, and you will see that in the growth account as well. So I guess to answer your question, which one am I buying in the growth account next? Probably Palantir. We can get some more Palantir. What I don't want to do is just go balls to the wall into Palantir, and because Palantir to me, like I told you guys in my last, it was a video on Don Franz show. I still view this as a speculative play. So to just kind of have a crazy allocation to it, it sets you up. It exposes you to a pretty decent downside. And I don't want to do that. Now I don't mind buying on this red trend line, but we're still up here, so I don't mind kind of letting fate decide where my average cost is, because I'll buy a little here, a little bit more here, a little bit more here, a little bit more here. Let it all average. I let it work itself out. But to just go nuts right here, go in on margin, get a couple margin calls on the way down. Like, no, I don't need margin calling me. She can call somebody else. My phone's busy. All right. We got to hurry up because I still got to talk about the ticker that I'm buying. Meta hanging out. Jumped up into that zone, played the back and forth game. Now we're kind of dancing around up here. So I do have to make this zone yellow now. Cindy, if you are still here, these zone colors do make a difference. Typically, yellow is 4-hour daily, and blue is, I call them speed bump zones, hourly. So it's a smaller time frame. Again, introducing that noise. Could reject there, could just base out. It's where I expect to see some turbulence. So as we're pushing up and it's green, and I saw a red candle there, no surprise. We base out, we get choppy, all to be expected. We could just send it right through. We could reject, but it's where I'm managing stuff. Straight to voicemail. Yeah, my voicemail is full too with margin calls. This person is no longer accepting messages. Is that a lower high or is it range bound? Will it break down? Until that does break, it's horizontal until not. I do think Meta's a little bit up there. I don't want to jinx it. Horizontal until not. So we're playing the back and forth game in between this zone. We did not quite make it up to that. So if tomorrow was red and we were to break this low of 490 and hop down into here, I would say that's weakness, and we could probably start drawing some lower highs. Tomorrow's green, and we even tag, even if it's a gap and crap, we tag this zone tomorrow, it's horizontal. Cindy says, I'm here. So helpful. I appreciate that. Nvidia needs to announce they use Palantir to monitor their employees so it can moon. Did you watch the presentation? Nvidia monitors everything. Let me read this question. Got home late from work, could use some advice/help. Would you continue to just put the 150 in weekly, or would you add enough to take it over 25K? Well, that defeats the whole starting from zero thing. Did mom and dad just decide to, hey, little Timmy, here's some money? I can't, because I'm going to grow the thing from zero. So I can't. I have a Fidelity account that I'm definitely going to take over PDT, but I have the cash. But I have the cash to do both Robinhood and Fidelity. So is it better to have more funds in one account or divide it up? Some people love to tell you to have multiple accounts. I don't. I don't know why. Um, maybe there's a perk there. I don't get it. If you're above PDT, just go nuts, have fun. The last thing you'd want to do is take 50K, put 25K into both, take 950 trades, and be at 24.9 the next day. That's gonna suck. I'll tell you right now, there's times I'm gonna use margin. So if you did that, the one solid perk is you wouldn't be on margin on those trades because I will probably use margin here to grab some Nvidia soon. If not 100 shares of the next stock we're going to talk about. Um, here is our. This is cool. So somebody took our technician. This is what we have in the growth account right now. Speaking of over allocated, but Palantir we use for weekly income. So we take that money and buy other things. We also this doesn't show the Ethereum that we bought at 2,900, which is also up. So we have Apple, Google, Meta, Palantir. I do want to add in as far as like these tickers go. I'm calling that my like AI net because every one of these guys is racing for something AI, and when it pops off, I don't know if any one of these companies has an advantage over the other. They all have enough money. If money could buy it, they would already have it, which tells me they're all just trying their hardest to get the next best thing. And I do want Nvidia and Tesla a part of this, and I'm just calling that my AI net. Like, hey, I just want to be there in case something pops off. And then to get back into 200 shares of this. Where can I find the growth account information? If you're in the mentorship, it's just a tag called growth account. And then just scroll up. I screenshot and post every play when I take it. Here's what I was actually just talking about. I forgot to share the screen. So FinViz has all this. You can put everything in. What this doesn't reflect is the options that we've sold against it. Because every week we sell calls. But we took a couple weeks off, but every week we sell calls against Palantir. All right. Oh, that does? Huh. I'll have to look into that. Okay, back to Meta. Needs to tag that zone for tomorrow. There was an AMD question up there, by the way. Don't forget, we're going to talk about AMD. Giga Cloud Technology. I don't know why. I don't know anything about this company, but this sounds like a company that just made its name off of the fad. Cloud technology, change our name. How many times can we say AI in an earnings call? Man, this thing looks volatile. What do they own? A bunch of Bitcoin? All right. Okay, so back to talking to Cindy. I'm not just grabbing candles that base out. Look at it as buyers and sellers. Actually, there's a lack of sellers, lack of buyers, but just not to confuse anybody. Lots of buyers in the green candles, lots of sellers on the red ones. No buyers were here to pick that up, so it did finally fall through. Everyone right here said, I'll take every share you have to offer. Old resistance, new support, or whatever anyone wants to say. This is where that area of attention was over here. And that's what these zones are. Just think of area of attention. Someone's buying and selling. Someone's creating that balance. They're playing that game of tug of war. It's not just the level, but it's also how it got there too as well. So you could see someone was worried about something here. And there's that line in the sand. Let's say Goldman Sachs said, hey, I'll take it at anything under 26. Just start filling the orders. Now, if Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, if they click market buy, you're going to see a green candle or a wick right back up. So they turn their algos on. It just says, hey, anything below 26, let's go. Likely there's a VWAP there that they're trading it off of. Most day traders like to trade things above the VWAP, but it's volume weighted average price. So big institutions, they don't like to pay above the average cost that everyone else is paying. They call it a good deal when they buy it below the VWAP, and a lot of algos will turn on when it gets below the VWAP. So that's how you can end up getting these wicks because they'll start filling the sellers. They stop, it still fills, and because it's still below 26, it starts to push that back up, and then the buyers do the rest. No, Mike, I have not traded grains. If I have it's I could count it on one hand. I'd have to physically comb through my history. But no, I have not. Apparently, the funds are mega short, and seed plantation report comes out on the 28th. YOLO. I don't know. I would want to know quite a bit more about that. Put the 200 simple on the 4 hour. No, technician. You just looking for a reason to buy? No. You could sell yourself a position. You can line up 1,000 indicators if you want and sell yourself a position. I don't care. If it's going to bounce off the 180, that's a popular one. The 200 is pretty popular. Hopefully it is a support. But right now, we just broke that, and we broke it with some vengeance. You said it looks good. Good. Then what are you asking me for? Whole account that thing. I'll see you on the other side. If there's a... This is what's going to make it look good. If there's a speed bump zone, it's right here. And all I would think right now is if that bounces, I'd expect it to hit that zone, sell off, and continue. If I were to catch that knife, let's say I was really attracted to this, I'd catch the knife once here. If it stops out, it stops out. If it bounces up and hits that zone again, no, it's good for one time and one time only. Breaks that, it's coming on down to that zone. This does look like a pretty strong buy zone, so the 25 mark might not be bad. But looking at its history, it does a lot of the pump and dump stuff. Okay, but the last time it hit the 200 on the 4 hour, it was a good support. Banging. That throws me to death. It really does. At least if it's there now, if I'm going to trade off an SMA like that, my stop would be below the SMA. That's it. Because it doesn't matter what your trade plan is, whether you bought off an EMA, the SMA, the Tooth Fairy said it was a good deal. You dreamt about it. I don't care. If the 200 SMA is right here, crossing below that's where the 200 SMA broke. Time to get out. Boom. Stop below that. If the 200 SMA is, let's say it's right here, your stop would be, say, 27.85. Let's go 27.15. All that is, for whatever reason, a zone, an SMA, an EMA, the VWAP, the RSI, no matter what it is, that's $2 per share. So if you only want to risk $20, then you're only going to buy 10 shares. So break it down that way. Whatever is your entry's here and now, right? Then where's your stop going to be? And then how much per share is that? And then how much are you willing to risk? Not how big is your account. How much are you willing to go down to that blackjack table and throw down right now for the next 2 cards? Because that's your comfortable amount to risk. If I tell anybody, hey, take that trade right now and risk $1, or, hey, buy 1 share, who in this group would say no? I got a pretty good track history, and I'm telling you to risk $2. Everyone's going to say no. Everyone's going to say, sure, why not? Then I say, go buy 1,000 shares of this right now and risk $2,000. I bet that thins the herd quite a bit because they're like, no, not risking that. Okay, so your number's somewhere in the middle or closer to the front. Either way, find your emotional number that you're willing to still go to sleep at night, and that's your thing. ENV. What's this? InvestNet. I have a problem with how this is spelled. InvestNet. That's weird. Ooh, we can go to the daily. I bet it's right in the zone right now. I'm going to draw the first line right here because this does get tricky. Because we dropped down, played the tug of war game, and then the buyers took over. So you think, all right, that's a pretty strong zone. Never mind. That is where that zone's going to be. What was kind of catching my eye right here was actually this. And yeah, we bounced out of it. The argument could be made that we hit the top of that one, hit the top again, and then bounced. Um, so if I was to zone this out, and you can just see across the actually that's gonna be we're gonna do a little Ukraine zone, yellow and blue. My main zone would be right here. Okay, so it got above, pulled back, tested that. Not really out of the woods until it gets above that. So yeah, we're bouncing. Things are looking good, but we're not really in the clear until it breaks that 56, and then you're kind of off to the races. There's been a couple outliers where we've tried and then really broke down. Um, had some insider buying, which I've heard that insiders sell for many reasons, but only buy because they see upside. Don't know your thoughts on that. Well, let's break it down. Why would somebody buy and deploy capital in the market? People ask me this all the time. I'll announce it. You know how many if I had $1 for this, I wouldn't even need to buy Nvidia. But if I had $1 for every time I bought something and posted it in the chat, "Hey, I just bought this." And somebody says, "Do you think it's going up?" What do you think? Think I'm just out here handing money out? Think I just want to give money away to some random stranger? I'd rather PayPal somebody. Of course you think it's going up. What kind of question is that? Insider buying? Why else? What else is he buying it for? Is he going to frame it? Is he going to talk to it at night? No, they don't even do paper stocks anymore. So you can't even like have something to look at. Give to the grandkids. Once you close that app, you got nothing. Yes, of course I think they're buying because it's going to go up. Insider buying could be a million reasons. Why are they selling? You've heard a lot of reasons why they're selling, huh? Well, they got to pay their taxes. They need some money. They think it's going to go down, and they don't want their money to go down. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to sell. I think you got it right. You got in on the Google call, a July 19th at the money, and an Amazon leap. Let's go over Amazon. If you're looking to even, as far as a leap goes, I don't know. You're asking for a stop on a leap. The reason I give that a leap is, or the reason I get a leap is because I think in the next 12 to 18 months, it's going to be above this. Whether it comes down here and does that, I have 18 months for it to do that. I would rather do like a poor man's covered call strategy and sell a call against it if it starts to break down. If you set an alert right here and you close that leap out and all it does is bounce right here, by the time you buy back in, you're just going to waste your money. Leaps aren't the stop out and get cute with game, I don't think. Those are manage it when it's green, but if it's red, that's why you gave it 18 months kind of thing. As far as the Google call, you gave it till July. That one I'd probably say if it does break this, I'd get out because it might move enough that if it sells back off, you can buy that same one back or even spin the same and get a better strike. Because if that zone breaks and it melts down and we come down to like the 141, 140 mark, you get out of what are you in? You said at the money. I guess you bought it at 147. Okay, so you tag out, right? It breaks this, you close the 147s, and then it sells off down to here. Now you can buy the 147s a whole lot cheaper or spend that same amount and buy the 141s. And if it does bounce, this one, you made your money back. Yeah, your conversation goes to, I hope it gets back to break even. I hope I'm in the money. To this conversation is, how far in the money am I? And that's a lot better conversation. You get to 100 deltas a lot faster. So if there's one I think you queue with it, it would be Google. Google pumped pretty quickly. So if it does break this, what you want Google to look like is this. Meta, full send, and it just never looks back. Like a ratchet, it's just one extra click. So if it gives that up, if Meta were to break this, it is probably coming right on down. I will ban anybody that says it will do that because I have too much Meta. I'm not emotional. I'm not over allocated, but I just like to watch my money go up. Anyway, if it does break that, yeah, I bet we're coming down here. James, I see you're talking right now. I'm about to. You're giving away the surprise. All right, cheesesteak, the perma bear. Hopefully he's still here. All right, arm. I think it's done distributing over 115, and it's time to write it down. Would like your thoughts on the chart. Everything I just said about that one, about Meta. I don't know. I think I would wait. Hang on. You think it's done distributing over 115? If it breaks 115, yeah. So what I would do, I'll even join you on this one. I'm going to put my alert at 114.75. If it breaks that, I'll go short. And if that alert never goes off, I'll never know and I'll never care. You know, there was just nothing to manage, nothing to go short right here, and it jumps back up to here. But treat that as a breakout. This is where the landslide starts, or that's what stops are for. You know, like you go short right here. Obviously, it can retest that zone. All's fine. My stop would be likely somewhere above here, the 126.35 mark. That's where I'd set my next alert, and I'd get out, or I'd go risk in capital. You know, 0 to hero. And for anybody that's new here, when I say risk in capital, it means I bought a call or a put, and it's doing one of two things: going to 0 or making me money. There's no I'm going to stop out here, I'm going to get cute here. It's make it happen, or don't talk to me again. Okay, it's like how breakups should be, but we don't live in a dream world. That's the break below. Yeah. If it does break that, you know, we're rocking and rolling. Where's the hang up spot's going to be at? Okay, so I've never actually drawn a zone out like this on my channel. I blame Cindy. Let's confuse everybody all at once. I would want to be alerted right here. We went up to that level. We came back down. We shot all the way down, brought right back up. Now, this is kind of some no data, but we just really entered. These were the two extremes. So I guess as it enters that, I would just want to know. I'm going to really fade this thing down. So don't treat this as a normal zone, but I don't want to forget about it because we really, when you have pushes up like this, I know a lot of people think that's a whole lot of buying. In fact, that's a whole lot of not selling, and there is a difference. But what was going on right here? Out of all of this, not a single bear to be found. They spanked Winnie the Pooh all the way back to the beginning of, is it Disney? Winnie the Pooh's Disney, right? No. Anyway, pretend that was a funny joke. But in the meantime, we still had some kind of interaction at this level. So I would just want to know. So if we're going to hang up, this is borderline no man's land. As far as how much time we spent inside here, negligible. There wasn't a lot of like back and forth being talked about. So it's hard to really call that a zone and like, hey, this could bounce, could do this. It's just like, let's just keep an eye on our trade. You know, we'll go short here. And if anything weird, you know, let's say we just go at the money puts. We're on the 15-minute time frame and we run into this zone and it starts to base out. That might be time to probably take off half of them. You know, and taking off half is like the best of both worlds because if it melts down, you still get to watch your money go up. But if it bounces, it's hard for that trade to go red because you've already locked in so much. But also, if let's say it just bounces up to here and starts to turn back around again, you can buy right back in. Then you get cute. You get to double dip on it. But it kind of just leaves it open to interpretation that day. He says, I think the chips give everyone an entry in the next 2 weeks. Once Nvidia event is done and the hype dies down a bit. I know you're a perma bear, but did you see the same thing I did? Are you sure this Nvidia hype is going to slow down? And if you didn't have FOMO, how worse is it now? How much worse is it? Let's FOMO this thing up. I'm pumped about Nvidia. Entry, Don. Entry. That's a bullish statement. Yeah. You want to buy Nvidia 1200? Is that your entry? Well, I took it as it's going to sell off and give everybody the dip buy. Let's talk about AMD real quick, and then I'm going to talk about the ticker. You'll probably get an alert on tomorrow if you are part of the Patreon or in my group. He says an AMD zone to start a position. Well, there's no zone like the present. Just kidding. Coincidentally, you are in a zone right now. You gonna be a man and take a trade or what? Also, I'm 1,000% kidding. Please don't ever let my comments like that get you into a trade you shouldn't be in. Egos should be left at the door. That's a yellow zone. But I'm gonna keep these two yellow just to, if this zone breaks, yeah, it could just kind of jack around and do something like this. If it breaks the 175 mark, we could bounce here like it's done multiple times. But look how sideways it was. I've traded AMD for a long time, and AMD loves to go sideways. It's just a characteristic of AMD. So honestly, if that breaks, I'd rather just wait and buy down here until it actually does bounce and kind of comes back. I'd be buying here or this zone. Let's see. He says I would buy Nvidia if it hits 650. I would own a couple hundred more shares if it hits 650. All right, so the one stock I bought today and buying tomorrow in the growth account is Hood. Looks like I'm down on it right now because I want to say I'm at like 1707. Yeah, it was like right in here. I think I'm 1707. Give me 2 seconds. 1702. Never mind. Either way, I'm down. We had talked about this a couple days ago in the mentorship. But I said, like, I might, but I want it to sell off first. We got the sell off. I thought maybe we'd go just a tad bit further. I want this to stop bleeding out, and I kind of think it'll be somewhere around this zone, which is why I think I'll be buying it tomorrow. This is something I'll be buying 100 shares of. Now, I guess for everyone on YouTube, I already bought this and sold the 20s this week, so they're already up. But I should have closed those today. So I'm still in those, but bought some shares, sold the 20s. That's why I thought my average was 1707. Yeah, because never mind. It was 1807, but I bought a lot more now. So now my average now is 1702, but that's why that looked weird. You sold the 17 put today on Hood? Oh, I'm kind of iffy. This was looking before the sell off. The reason why I grabbed it in my main account so fast was because it was looking like a momentum ticker, and I was like, man, this base is out. It's a little bit up there. Hopefully it sells back off. But I bought it in my main account in case it does just send it. And I'd be perfectly fine selling it at 20 or being in a roll position. Either way, it was going to be a good trade. But I also don't mind. Right now, the premiums on it are nice, so I don't mind creating weekly income off of this. There is a huge difference between my main account and the growth account. The growth account, I'm growing from $0. You have to trade very differently. You know, you can't take the YOLOs. A lot of people think when you have a small account, you should YOLO stuff. All you're going to do is gamble your money right back down to zero. So you can't afford to take stupid plays like that. And if anybody gets offended because I call them stupid, that's just what I call them. They are gamble plays. I take them all the time, but not when you have an account that can't afford it. You can call it fun money, call it whatever you want. But if you have a small account, you don't have the fun money. If you're under PDT, sorry, earnings plays, they're not for you. Stock Trader had it today. The fun money. So again, egos aside, you have to understand where you are at, because the quickest way to never get this landslide going or never get that snowball rolling is to jack around and do something stupid. There are people that will post amazing gains on 0 days to expiration. That's cool. And in theory, they could probably sell in that position because you risk less and you possibly make more. But it's how many times you're going to lose that less and die death of 1,000 cuts. If you're offended, if I call you stupid, then you're dumb. Precisely. Um, all right. So anyway, that will likely it's at a spot now that I do think I could probably start picking it up. Hopefully that doesn't really break down. But breaking above this was a bullish sign for me for Hood. So retesting that, I don't care. Again, I want it to look like Meta. And again, we can want, hope, and pray all we want. We can cross our fingers. If it breaks down, it breaks down. But for now, hoping it looks like this. We'll sell some weekly calls against it, and then we'll have income from Palantir and Hood to fund more Palantir, and then eventually we'll have 3 contracts to sell and buy more Tesla and Google with, and that's how I'm going to snowball it. So let's rock and roll. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I know this is a little bit longer than usual stream. Shout out to everybody that's here. I'll see you guys, mentorship. I'll see you guys tomorrow, bright and early in the morning. Everyone else, you'll see me live Thursday for sure, at least on Dawn Fraud Trading, but maybe again on Power Zone. But I'm going to wrap it up here. I'll see you guys all then. Have a good one.